friends, we need to finish the tweets for June 22nd. My goodness, POTUS is very busy with his tweet arm. Let's go to 80% of Mexico's exports come to the United States. They totally rely on us, which is fine with me. They do have, though, very strong immigration laws. The U.S. has pathetically weak and ineffective immigration laws that the Democrats refuse to help us fix. We'll speak to Mexico.
This is so loaded.
Yo, is that loaded?
This is so loaded, Betsy. This is absurd. See, what he's really saying here is the cocaine and the drugs pouring across the southern border provides most of your economy. And the rest of your economy is provided by us as a gift that we give you. And if you don't start to play ball with us and stop the war on the border, stop the cartel drugs, and begin to have some semblance of lawfulness in Mexico and start to enforce your immigration laws, we're going to squish you. We're going to squish you permanently. Because if we don't take your goods, you simply go into total chaos, and who knows what will happen in Mexico after that.
They don't understand that every producer needs a consumer to take their goods.
No, and neither does China, and neither. Now Europe has already responded and said, "Oh, Mr. President, we'll take those starbursts. We'll take those starbursts. You know, the two that he tossed on the table for Merkel, supposedly. They'll take those starbursts because that's all they're going to get. You see, they've already collapsed on both aluminum and steel. Now they're collapsing in the cars. Why? Because he said 10% on the cars. Now he's saying 20, 25% on cars, luxury cars. Germany collapses if that happens.
They've never dealt with a businessman before.
They don't know that he is not playing a game. He did not come to this table unless he's willing to walk away from it. And he's willing to play to the end, and he's willing to put it all at stake. And so, sorry to all you countries who have been living off of blood-sucking on America. You are not going to do it anymore. And Mexico, you will pay for the border wall. You will pay for the border wall. Guess why? Because we're going to stop your drugs pouring across the border wall. So you will have $26 billion in lack of cocaine income the second that we build the wall, and you will then have to become a lawful country, because right now you are a worse place to live than war-torn zones.
So the wall will actually be a huge safety and security issue for Mexico once it's built.
Mexico isn't even a country right now. It is a group of drug cartels, and their politics shows that. Again, yesterday, a couple days ago, 2 more mayors shot. I mean, I can't keep track. 120 politicians shot in the last 10 months. We are watching a war on the border, and Pelosi says, send all your criminals from your jail. You know what they do? They open their jails and tell them to go north.
Do they give Nancy Pelosi street address?
No, but they have the Department of Homeland Security. They're surrounding her house, the resistance, because supposedly she's taking children from their parents at the border. That is a lie. Had they listened to her, she explained the policy very clearly. There's no such thing. Now, was there human trafficking going on during Obama's time? Yes, there certainly was. We have proven it. We've done articles on it. We've shown you 85% of the missing children come from what? Obama Social Services. Where were the children taken who were separated from their parents? Obama Social Services. They were flown all throughout the country. Anyone, does that sound at all correct to anybody?
Well, I remember that in Hartfield International, when there was that electrical outage and everything was down, but there was this one mysterious white cargo plane that was able to take off. And the rumor is, in the internet, folks, this is not vetted, but that it was filled with human trafficking.
No marks on the plane, and the inside of the plane has cages that humans can fit in. So it's a little bit hard to believe that the only plane they allowed to take off was... And then we explain clearly, I don't want to get into it, but we explain exactly where they went, what they dropped off, and what they got. This is standard operating procedures. The CIA must have the southern border open, or they lose their slush fund that comes from the opiates that come from Afghanistan, where they used to protect the Afghani opium fields, the poppy fields, so that they could bring the drugs through the southern border. Are people not paying attention to this? The pharmaceutical drugs from China that are killing people, the gigantic opioid war that Trump is trying to wage against these pharmaceutical companies many of them in China. What is that? That is legal attack on Americans by drugs, whether it be cocaine, whether it be any other illegal drug, but also these pharmaceuticals. That is the crime that he's talking about. He is supposed to stop that crime, but he can't when he has these obstructionists, these people in the resistance who worship crime, really, is what it is. Pelosi, Schumer, they are criminals. They are complicit for the murder of many, many of these children who were human trafficked by the Obama administration. We've already proven this. It's now coming out in the news. So the harder they want to hammer against Trump, separating children at the border, it's going to come out their own crimes. And their crimes are unbelievable. We've documented them for you. 184 agencies that took these children. And what did they do with them? No one knows where those children go. They end up missing after a very short period of time.
Well, that ties into the next tweet. Let me read it. We must maintain a strong southern border. We cannot allow our country to be overrun by illegal immigrants as the Democrats tell their phony stories of sadness and grief, hoping it will help them in the elections. Obama and others had the same pictures and did nothing about it.
What they want Trump to do is basically what Obama did. Just simply write executive orders and or change regulations, not laws, so that this corruption could happen, so that you would have, both for the Democrats and the Republicans, cheap labor coming across the border, undocumented Democratic voters, criminals who disrupt our society, murderers who kill our people and then are literally released back onto the street. Anyone who could support a sanctuary city, a sanctuary state, or catch and release, or what's going on with ICE, and now we have the southern mayors basically committing a crime and going out into the mainstream media proud of it. Those people have to go to jail. These are massive criminal felonies being committed by elected officials. They need to go to jail. And we need to stop playing games with this. These are crimes. We need to enforce the law, and that's what his recent executive order was about, which basically said that he, not Obama, is going to change the California decision that children can only be held for 20 days. That's what's causing all these problems. A loophole that demanded basically de facto that you're going to catch and release anybody that says, oh, that child is my child. No documentation, no paperwork, no nothing. The child doesn't say that that's their parent, but that person gets to walk across the border and then receive entitlements, receive all kinds of benefits, and then literally go out on the street and demand amnesty in a very angry tone, as we've seen coming from the Dreamers, from DACA, and from many other illegal immigrants.
So basically, what's the underlying message here that's not apparent on the surface is that in the end, Mexico will want to be on the Trump plan.
Precisely. And that the Democrats make up these phony stories that shows that the mainstream media is nothing more than a Democratic propaganda machine.
All right, next one. Hope OPEC, that's OPEC, not OPEC, because we also talk about OPIC, so clarify that. Hope OPEC will increase output substantially, need to keep prices down.
It should be criminal, and Henry Kissinger should go to jail for economic crimes against humanity for ever setting up OPEC, because OPEC is nothing more than worse than insider trading. It is a global monopoly manipulation of the entire world. Everything right now runs off of oil. You control oil, you control all the economies. And when Henry Kissinger weaponized OPEC and told them that they can raise and lower prices based upon their whims and how much they wish to draw out of the earth, this is nothing more than criminal economic terrorism.
Well, we could release energy. Really, the issue here is energy, and there is plenty of energy and free energy that we can use, and alternative energies. It's being suppressed right now, number one, by the U.S. Patent Office, and a lot of the corruption that we see. But if you could free up the energy so that price wasn't really a factor anymore, that would totally take down OPEC and the petrodollar.
Oh, completely. It would change all economies on the earth. And, what we really see here is this is a message from Trump saying to OPEC, keep your prices down. I had to warn you just, a month or two ago, and then the prices went up. They went down as soon as he warned them. He warned them, watch, this is going to drive it back down. And why he needs to do this right now? Because of the people who don't understand what he's doing with the tariff deals, especially the Congress who's trying to stop the ZTE deal.
Well, let me read the next tweet, and then you can continue on, because that's all about tariffs. Based on the tariffs and trade barriers long placed on the U.S. and great companies and workers by the European Union, if these tariffs and barriers are not soon broken down and removed, we will be placing a 20% tariff on all of their cars coming into the U.S. Build them here. Now, maybe they don't understand that when Trump tweets, that's an official message to them.
And they better get snapping. When he says frog, they better jump. Because what did he just do? He was going to put 10% on luxury cars. That collapsed Germany. Germany collapsed and said, oh no, Mr. President, we'll do exactly what you say, whatever you say. No problem with that aluminum and steel. Oh, no problem. Just please, Mr. President, do not put 10% tariff on our BMWs and our fancy-dancy German cars, because that is their major thing in America. So if he's going to raise it to 20% on all cars, it's no longer Germany. In case there's anybody else in the European Union that needs to have their face slapped, he just slapped them. And that's a beautiful thing. And he's saying, don't go over to foreign countries and build them cars over there and then cheaper, and then expect that you're going to bring them back into this country without a tariff, or that there are trade barriers. All of these trade barriers are against Americans, period. There are no trade barriers against any other countries, only against us. And these trade barriers are a list you don't even want me to go into. There's sanctions, there are limitations, there's auditing problems, there's customs problems, there's on and on and on. 1,000 things are put on Americans so that we can't trade. But, hello, 80% of Mexico's exports come to the United States. And by the way, many barriers are put on us sending anything to Mexico. So, and everyone puts tariffs on us. Whether you want to call it tariffs or trade barriers, whether you want to call it certain types of taxes, certain types of very complicated systems on how much we can send when, and only if then they buy so much or we buy so much. Oh, it's unbelievable. It is just as Mike the Bulldog Mulvaney is saying to us. These systems are 200 years old. Even the economic systems are 100 years old, and none of them work. They're worse than a joke. They're pathetic. They're stupid, he says.
They're worse than that. We've got the Brits all entangled in our system with these crown agents and with no bid contracts that are going to Serco. And it's the way that the government has been set up, and then it's been infiltrated by this. And we've got to get out from under it. Now, instead of taking this and making a frontal attack, what I see here is Trump and his team are flanking it. They're weakening the enemy. And for example, if you have all the senior executive service employees, all employees, in fact, having to redo background checks on themselves, that's going to take care of one level of employee that's not going to be with us anymore. If you say no to these no bid contracts to Serco, that softens up another flank. If taking down the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau was huge because it's unconstitutional, and they were using this money they were siphoning it off to take to all of their lefty groups to fund them. So you see what's happening is POTUS is taking the enemy by the flanks where they're not expecting it, softening them up. So fine, let McCabe and Rosenstein and Horowitz and all the top dogs at the senior executive service duke it out. But in the meantime, their troops are being hit hard. Sorry.
Oh, yes. And they're being told, build them here. If the manufacturing happens here, then there's no tax evasion, and then you need no tariffs. So what he's saying is, anybody who wants to build a car outside of America and send it to us, realize we're going to create a level playing field for you, so you might as well just come here and build them here. And then if that's the case, that can only happen if there are tax benefits. Well, he created those tax benefits. And as we know, a repatriation of $2.5 trillion happened pretty much instantaneously upon the spot. And so therefore he balanced the budget whether people want to know it or not. admit it or not, he's balanced the budget over and over. He says 10 trillion in new income. Well, we say it's more like 16 trillion in the benefits that have come from his decisions. And those are instantaneous decisions. Those are not what's going to happen 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 8 years down the line. Then you'd have to put it into multiples, if not exponents, because what we're seeing here is a war that he is winning on every single flank. Everyone is following. Here's how stupid it is. We say 10 billion to China. They say 20 billion to us. We say 100 billion to them. They say 200 billion to us. Guess what? We're already giving them 375 billion. So until it gets to 375 billion that goes back and forth and balances each other out, he can't lose. So if you think for 1 second he's losing, the only way he's losing is because he's stupid. And I'm going to say stupid because Mike Mulvaney has pointed out that the Congress and the Senate are stupid, exactly as Trump said before he came to power. And now as I look at it, there is no other word except absolutely stupid. Why are you, Congress, getting involved telling him what he should be doing with deals with China when he's the only person, maybe in American history, who's ever won in a deal with China? Okay? You need to shut up, folks. You need to leave him alone with the ZTE deal, and you don't even understand what's going on. And they're trying to pass laws to limit his ability to do deals. Stupid upon stupid. We need to just have faith that Donald Trump can follow through on these deals and win. And if we sit back and see what we've seen so far, he's already proven us. So all we really need to do is not even have faith, just measure what he has done and then imagine what he can do. And it can only be done if the stupid Congress gets out of the way, especially on this ZTE deal with China. I mean, he let you guys play the game with 5G right up to the last second, didn't he? And then he smashed you. Do any of you have any concept what he's actually doing in the Commerce Department? I don't think so. In the Treasury Department? I don't think so. Behind the scenes? I don't think so. You're too busy trying to get yourself out of your crimes that the Mueller special investigation is covering up.
That's what I wanted to say. You know, they're busy covering up their crimes, trying to get out of them at this point. And Trump is all over the chessboard, taking down countries and institutions. This is going to be a reshaping of our world when we're finished. So the next tweet is, we are gathered today to hear directly from the American victims of illegal immigration. These are the American citizens permanently separated from their loved ones because they were killed by criminal illegal aliens. These are the families the media ignores. And then there was a picture.
I don't think the media ignores them. I think the media is committing a crime. And I think that every person in Congress that wants to vote for anything but lawfulness is committing a crime. That's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy to overthrow the United States government and the U.S. Constitution and the U.S. Bill of Rights.
I thought you said a couple of times that conspiracy isn't what did you call it?
It's not a conspiracy as stated in the Robert Mueller special investigation. Is conspiracy against the United States. For what? To do what? There's no crime.
So you have to name specifically what's being done.
Oh, absolutely. This is killing people. Catch and release, or releasing criminals who have murdered people, is a crime. And promoting that behavior is a conspiracy to commit a crime. And we're talking about murder. Parents that he's talking about, these angel parents whose children have been murdered, and in many cases, those criminals who are illegal aliens are released back out on the street to murder others. Anyone who should support that, whether it be a California sanctuary state or California or any state sanctuary city, you are a criminal, as Jeff Sessions has said you are, and I hope there's a sealed indictment for each one of you, because you all need to go to jail, and we need to stop these criminal activities. We need to stop thinking that it's okay because the president like Obama or a Bush or a Clinton says it's okay to commit a crime. It is not okay to commit a crime. That is why we live in this age of falsehood politics, because they tell you it's okay to commit a crime. It's not. We need a border. We need to stop the criminal illegal invasion of our country, very much like the invasion of Europe. And if we don't wake up soon, we're going to be in the same condition.
Last tweet. Our first duty and our highest loyalty is to the citizens of the United States. We will not rest until our border is secure, our citizens are safe, and we finally end the immigration crisis once and for all. And again, he was speaking at this event, and there is a picture.
It is just, it's heartbreaking to look at what these parents have gone through and then to basically have their government say, we have no intention of following the law. We have no intention of creating a better law. We have no intention of reviewing the law. We just simply are going to sacrifice Americans to illegal invaders who kill, plunder, rape, absolutely with impunity, supported by people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and basically every single Democrat that says in the Senate that they will not vote for new immigration laws, and in the Congress that will not vote. Those are criminals, folks. We, for instance, even if you're an American, 1.4 thousand parents are separated from their children a year when they get locked up. You cross the border, you're going to get locked up. If your child gets taken away from you, that's just a consequence of your illegal activities. The parents, these angel parents, they didn't commit any crimes. Their children didn't commit any crimes. And it is disgusting that we do not do more to defend them and to rectify that and to stop this political obstructionism and resistance of the Democrats to create any kind of sanity at our border, to stop the crime. The crime at our border every single day now. It used to be once a week. Every single day, the crimes at the border that are reported make us look worse than, in some cases, areas of Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. We are becoming a war zone, and soon, at the border, it will be considered a civil war. Because why? We have governors who won't send the National Guard to support. Now we have ICE agents, we have border security who are being killed, and what happens? Nothing. You never hear a word about a Democrat ever talking about an angel family or someone who is an American killed at the border. You're never going to hear about that. And you're never going to hear them talk about the thousands of children that are killed on the way to the border who are part of the human trafficking, astounding criminal activities that are going on that Trump is trying to stop. We need to literally say the truth. Mexico is in a civil war at our southern border, and if we do not defend ourselves, it can turn us into a civil war. And when you have Democrats lying with this yellow propaganda, yellow journalism, a propaganda that's, that puts Trump on the front of Time magazine with a crying child that supposedly he separated. That child wasn't separated. All lies, all propaganda. A child can see that it's propaganda. And now even elementary school children see that mainstream media is nothing but lies, whether they're a Trump supporter or not. So we are actually training Americans to accept lies, just as the FDA allows poisonous GMOs to enter into our body, just as the pharmaceutical companies give us poisonous drugs that cause more suicides than the drugs heal. Just because the vaccine companies want to make money, we have how many cases of autism in this country directly due to vaccinations? We are in a war, folks, not only at our southern border, but in all of the federal agencies that are allowing these things to happen. And it is because of Trump's restructuring of all of those agencies right now that we see some of the greatest hope that we've seen happening in America in a long, long time.
And people always ask what they can do. Well, the first thing is do what you can to push out our information to those in your circle of influence. We're trying to educate and enlighten other citizens. You can do the same. There's so many different ways people are doing it now. It's actually become a lot of fun to see all the creativity and the innovation of Americans when called to task to save our country. Those are some of the things that you can do. But the most important thing next week, we've got some elections coming up. We want all patriots to get out, vote, use Trump's suggestions in his tweets. Think of the many hours and days that our president spends fighting us since he started. You can at least get up, go to the polls, wait in line, and cast your vote. And let POTUS know you have his back.